This handout is Understanding Liberalism and Conservatism, and we're looking at the political spectrum, excuse me, and we're looking at the continuum of how acceptable a person is to change. And so we know that the radicals go all the way over here. They're the far left. Liberals are on the left, and then conservatives on the right, and then reactionaries on the far right. We've got Republicans over here and Democrats over here. So if you know how Democrats and Republicans feel on the issues, this should make this much easier. So once you decide that this issue is something that Republicans favor, we know we're on the right side. It's just, is it they're moderate in their beliefs, or are they kind of very extreme in their beliefs? And then over here, if it's an issue that Democrats are in favor of, then we know that those here that are moderately in favor of those things, those changes, we're going to be liberal, and then we're going to be radicals if it's an extreme view on that particular issue. So down here, why don't radicals and reactionaries get elected to this country? Most people in the United States are right here on the spectrum. People kind of find it difficult to identify with a political party sometimes because they feel like they are in line with Republicans and conservatives on certain issues, and then with Democrats and liberals on other issues. So sometimes it's very difficult, but most people fall somewhere in here. And if you're going to get elected, you have to be somewhere where you can pull votes from the other side, because the United States is fairly divided 50-50. And so the farther right we get and the farther left we get, these people tend to be extreme in their views, and most people aren't that extreme and controversial in the views that they hold. So radicals and reactionaries is just because their views are too extreme, whether you're a member of the KKK or you're a member of the Black Panthers over here, and you're willing to kill people, fight, die, just go to very, very extreme measures to get your points across. So what are we going to tell an aspiring candidate? That you need to stay somewhere towards the center. You need to be a moderate. It's okay to be a conservative, but you have to be a moderate conservative. It's okay to be a liberal, but you need to be a moderate a moderate liberal, if you are wanting to run for election, because you have to be able to pull votes from the other side. Most teenagers tend to be more liberal. And if you think about it, younger people are more accepting to change. They get very frustrated with the slow process. They want things to be done right now. And so they're more accepting of different views and of the changes that are coming. Older people, you get kind of set in your ways the older that you get, and a lot of parents, I hear myself sound like my parents sometimes. You know, we didn't do it that way when we were young. I don't know why we have to do it that way now. And so it's not that we want to go back. We just don't understand why things have to change. And so older people tend to get set in their ways. So we start out as young people wanting change. And as we grow older, we grow to where we don't like change so much. And so why do young people become impatient with the political system? Well, for one, you know, we have a bunch of older people who are running the government, for one, who are not necessarily inclined to like change. But the process is slow. Politics is slow. And once again, it was designed that way. The Founding Fathers designed a system that was going to move slow and that was going to be frustrating. So young people do get impatient with the political system, and a lot of times they don't want to go out and vote. So when we're looking down here, what I need for you to do first off is go, are these issues that are important to Republicans, or are these issues that are important to Democrats? Republicans tend to be more conservative, not necessarily reactionary, but Republicans are conservative. The more extreme we are in our beliefs on those Republican issues, the more reactionary we are. And then the Democrats are more liberal. And the farther extreme we get in those beliefs, the more radical we become. So as we look at this first one favors a tax system that places a greater burden on large corporations and wealthy individuals. Democrats are more about let's tax the wealthy and redistribute that income to lower income people. So Democrats would be more in favor of a tax system that places larger taxes on large corporations, taking some of that money and giving it to the low income. So we know it's a Democrat, it has to be over here. This is not a far-fetched, outlandish, crazy, extreme idea. So this is going to be a more liberal view on that particular issue. Strongly opposes federal involvement in promoting social welfare. All right, so up here we have the Democrats or the liberals who want to tax large corporations and to give to the social welfare program. So if we strongly oppose those programs, then we're going to be more on this side, conservative. So if you say strongly, you could argue between 4 and 5, depending on how strongly your feelings are on that. So 4 or 5 would get you in there, because this would be more of a Republican type issue. The Republicans think that if we tax less, people will have more money. We don't need so many social welfare programs. Argues for a strong national defense. Republicans tend to support more defense spending and more programs with the military. So we're going to be on the right-hand side. And so that is going to be, for a strong national defense, it's going to be conservative, because that's not a reactionary going back to a earlier time that is arguing for a national defense. Strives to completely overcome social inequality. So what we're saying is we want to have everyone be equal with their money. Everyone will share equally, and that's pretty much called socialism. That's going to be a very radical view. It's going to be over here. Your mainstream Democrat is not going to think that we should completely overcome social inequalities where everyone is equal. But radicals would think that way. Active federal social welfare programs, once again. So we're looking at completely overcoming, that would be radical. But to have an active federal social welfare program where we're still, once again, liberals think we should tax and give to these programs. So this is going to be a issue that liberals would support. Greater empowerment of state and local government. That's Republican. So we're over here on the right-hand side, and that is conservative, because that's not so far-fetched and so out of the mainstream that we would consider that reactionary. Believes change is necessary but should occur slowly. So we're looking at someone who's probably in the center left. Slow change is okay, but we want to do it slowly. Advocates to return to conditions of earlier times. Once again, we're over here in the reactionary. And then extreme change, we're going to be over here with the radicals.